This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Tonight on the program, we turn our attention to recent anti-Nigerian protests in Ghana, sparking renewed concerns about xenophobia and diplomatic strain between two West African neighbors. Well, joining us to provide some insight and some context to this conversation is investigative journalist and author David Hundeyin. David, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on the program.
That is what he's saying. So all the complaints some Ghanaians are making about the criminalities of some Nigerians in Ghana are all false, according to David. There's something I want you to know. I want you to know that David is a Ghanaian citizen, but he is a Nigerian. He has the mindset of a Nigerian. And in our own country, we do not play politics pure like you're doing. If you allow this guy poison your hearts against one another in the name of investigative journalists, it is up to you, dear Ghanaians. Hi everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really appreciate you for coming on here. My name is Lillian. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button and do it to like this video. To all of you, my OGs, I appreciate you for coming back. Please kindly give this video a like. Someone sent a link to me the other day and asked I take a look and give my sincere opinion about the video. Now, before I got the link, other YouTubers or other content creators already made videos, reacting to this guy's video. I mean, David Hundeyin, that I'm about to display today in this video. In all of those videos, the title had it that this guy is a Ghanaian. So I took to my best friend, which is Google, to go find out where this man is from. In fact, I wasn't going there to find out where he's from. I wanted to just get to know his profile, only for me to realize that David was born, raised in Nigeria some 35 years ago in Festac, Lagos, Nigeria. Though he attended one of the private unis in Nigeria and all that, was married before and said, less than a year, he divorced his wife. After the heartbreak, he seek asylum to Ghana and was given the Ghanaian citizenship. And now he's going about with that, a Ghanaian journalist. Trying to know more about him, I realized that he's a Peter Obi supporter and all these investigative journalists. So I'm like, okay, let me make this video because the story that he wants to say to you guys, Ghanaians, is already working. He wants you to believe that all the accusation you're making against Nigerians, all the crime some Ghanaians are saying Nigerians are committing in Ghana, or the Igbo kingdoms that some Igbo people wanted to build in Ghana, all these things are all lies. According to him, you get to see in the video. I think we should just go straight into the video so you get to hear directly from the horse's mouth. Let's get into it.
Tonight on the program, we turn our attention to recent anti-Nigerian protests in Ghana, sparking renewed concerns about xenophobia and diplomatic strain between two West African neighbors. While Nigeria and Ghana have long shared strong cultural and bilateral ties, the latest tensions echoes the early 1980s or as far back as the late 60s. Remember the Ghana Must Go episode where Nigerian migrants were expelled from Nigeria, an event that left a lasting imprint on both nations? Well, we asked the question, what is driving this new wave of hostility and what does it mean for the broader relations between these two regional powers who have become brothers? Well, joining us to provide some insight and some context to this conversation is investigative journalist and author David Hundeyin. David, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on the program. The love-hate relationship between Nigeria and Ghana, what is your 2 cents about what is actually happening this time around?
This is also happening in the context of a wider push to fracture diplomatic relations across West Africa, which is not being orchestrated by local actors, right? But so he sort of saw an opportunity and he plugged himself into it. So these visuals that you're showing on the screen, this is a sponsored protest. Right. This protest is sponsored by Ghanaian politician Hassan Ayariga. This is well known in Ghana, but for whatever reason, many Nigerians don't seem to realize this. Many Nigerians seem to believe that this is an organic protest and that Ghanaians are protesting against the presence of Nigerians in Ghana. That is categorically not true. What you're looking at is a single politician in Ghana trying to build political notoriety and trying to turn that into a platform for him to gain national relevance. That's his whole thing. He's not a politician that has any specific ideology or any real ideological positioning. He's just trying to build a following and build relevance. And he has latched on to what appeared to be a potential trending issue. So again, this happened in the context of a video that went viral recently showing a Nigerian man in Ghana supposedly detailing his plans about building an Igbo kingdom in Ghana. Now, the Ghanaian authorities, specifically the Ghanaian Foreign Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, has already come out and said that this video, they did their investigations. They invited this Nigerian fellow. They spoke to him one-on-one. And first of all, he expressed his deep regrets over recording that video. And then also informed them that that video was recorded in the year 2013. So that video is a 12-year-old video that someone deliberately dug out, stripped of all its identifying context, and then presented it in this very misleading way to create the fundamentally false impression that they're a group of Nigerians trying to set up a sovereign ethnic kingdom in another person's country, which is, again, categorically not true. Right. So I guess the wider context surrounding even that is that if you've been following the news across West Africa, this is not just in Ghana and Nigeria, there have been several such events happening within a month of each other that have been intended to fracture diplomatic relations. So in Ghana, for example, you might recall a couple of weeks ago, the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, tweeted that he had a conversation with the Ghanaian president, John Mahama, and he claimed that Ghana had reached an agreement with Ukraine to buy Ukrainian drones and to deploy Ukrainian soldiers on Ghanaian soil to protect Ghana's borders. Knowing fully well that this is going to cause a huge diplomatic storm with Ghana's northern neighbor, Burkina Faso, which, as you well know, is more aligned with Russia. And then, in addition to being aligned with Russia, there's also the problem that the Sahelian alliance has a direct diplomatic dispute with Ukraine. If you recall, last year, the Ukrainians facilitated an attack by Tuareg rebels in Mali, which killed 42 Malian soldiers, and the three Sahelian countries submitted a complaint to the UN Security Council and then cut off all diplomatic relations with Ukraine. And then you have the Ukrainian president then going on Twitter and claiming that their immediate northern neighbor has agreed to deploy Ukrainian soldiers on their border. You understand? Only for the Ghanaian authorities to then come out and debunk this and say, look, yes, John Mahama did speak to Zelensky on the phone, but there was no agreement that was reached about any such thing. And Zelensky has basically mischaracterized the conversation he had with Mahama. So it doesn't take a genius to put two and two together and work out that there's an external interest at play here, trying to pit different groups trying to pit different West African countries who are traditionally very close rivals against each other. Right. So, and there has been a sequence of these events. If you recall, very recently, the Ghanaian ambassador to Nigeria had his official residence in Abuja burgled. Also, very recently, a staff of the Ghanaian High Commission in Abuja was brutally tortured and murdered on her way home from work. And for whatever reason, the official story was that this was so-called one chance, and she was just an unfortunate person. However, she wasn't allowed to contact her boss to ask for a ransom payment. So why would a group of one chance people just happen to target this specific unfortunate lady and kill her in the most gruesome manner and get nothing out of it? What is their incentive? So again, it doesn't take two and two to work out that even without receiving any sort of signed confession from any geopolitical actor at play here, you can clearly see that there's a sequence of events designed to escalate tensions across the sub-region, potentially with a view to starting off a war that would drag in both NATO and Russia, and they essentially turn West Africa into the latest theater of war.
Right. I mean, we'll double down on that conspiracy theory about the international powers that be that are possibly, according to you, stirring the hornet's nest, as the case is, within what's happening on the ECOWAS region. But talk to me about public sentiment in Ghana. Where is the country on these issues?
Well, the public sentiment in Ghana is that Nigerians are seen as pretty much part of the fabric of society. If you recall, the Ghanaian foreign minister actually had an appearance with Nigeria's foreign minister yesterday in Accra, and he stated very plainly that, look, even without taking into account the more recent migrations going both ways from Ghana to Nigeria and from Nigeria to Ghana, even going beyond that, there are entire ethnic groups in Ghana that trace their ancestry to Nigeria. So he mentioned the Ewe people and the Ga people. So, for example, I come from a place in Lagos called Badagry. We are ethnically very close to the Ewes, and the Ewes trace their ancestry to Ile-Ife, so do the Gas. So the point he was making was that we are all essentially one people. So this idea that there's going to be some sort of fundamental fracturing of relations between Nigeria and Ghana is just not a thing. It's not going to happen. And the sentiment on the streets pretty much mirrors that. Most people tend to sort of look at these online escalations as an internet phenomenon. And as I mentioned earlier, it's also very common knowledge that these protests are being sponsored by a specific politician who is trying to build a platform out of Nigeria must go.
I'll stop right here, because you want to talk about another country that has nothing to do in Nigeria. So, and my own is the Ghana versus Nigeria. So I'm just going to end it on this one. And if you want to see more, you can check them out on YouTube. This video is still on YouTube and people are seeing it. It's trending. And a lot of people are applauding for him. They like it. They want to hear that. They have changed the narratives. They want you to believe that all the complaints that some Ghanaians have made about Nigerians in Ghana are false, including the Igbo king, kingship, kingdom. So those claims are all false. So it has everything to do with external interference. They want to break Ghana and Nigeria's relationship apart. We are not committing crimes in Ghana. That's what David is saying. So if it's true, it's okay. But for me, I noticed a little bit of inconsistency in his story, because now he said Hassan Ayariga is the brain behind the protest. So the protest is inorganic. Now, another time he is saying that it is external interference from the Western bodies. That is what he's saying. So all the complaints some Ghanaians are making about the criminalities of some Nigerians in Ghana are all false, according to David. There's something I want you to know. I want you to know that David is a Ghanaian citizen, but he is a Nigerian. He has the mindset of a Nigerian. And in our own country, we do not play politics pure like you're doing. If you allow this guy poison your hearts against one another in the name of investigative journalists, it is up to you, dear Ghanaians. He has nothing to lose. Yeah, in 2020, David seek asylum to Ghana because of the NSAS protests. NSAS protest, though, is what David used as an excuse to get the Ghanaian citizenship and moved from Nigeria, now lives in Ghana. David came to Ghana in 2021 as an asylum seeker from Nigeria. David took part in the NSAS protest just like every other young Nigerian, right? So he's now living in Ghana, parading himself as a Ghanaian journalist. David is a Ghanaian by paper, but his mentality is a mentality of a Nigerian, and the way we play our politics is dirty. Don't fall for it. All these things are him trying to silence, the voices that are complaining about the kidnapping, unaliving, bank robbery, kingdom builders, and all that. Now, David came from quite a decent home where he was given the luxury of attending a private university, even though in Nigeria, according to him, in one of the videos of him, his dad was a good man, and his dad lived right and it worked for his father. But him now, he must not live right. He must try to be like those Nigerian politicians that brought curse upon Nigeria that we are all dealing with today. Dear Ghanaians, please be careful of how you consume and believe informations from some of these people. David, please take your politics, go to Nigeria and do it. Allow Ghanaians to deal with their issues the way they understand it. So you P2B fan, you cannot come to Ghana and do that. Take it to Nigeria, go there and do the campaign there. Do that your dirty campaign that we do in Nigeria. And if you don't tell the truth, you people in 2027, una go still lose. You understand? But so that una no go to say I swear for una sha. That is all I have to say. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.